Well, how about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson with Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video today. I've got some pretty exciting news, but I've also got some bad news. So y'all stick with us and check out what we got going on here at the farm today. So to start off with, we'll go ahead and talk about the good and the bad news. So the good news is, if you watched our last video, I pointed out one nanny that we were still expecting to have babies from, and she actually decided to deliver two beautiful babies this morning, a boy and a girl, and stopped by this morning, caught a little clip of that. So y'all check that out real quick. Welcome to Nicholson Farms, babies. We got a little girl on this side and a little boy on this side. Good job, mama. And I'm walking up on them now, so that's the good news. I mean, they're both up good. They're drinking well. She's taking really good care of them. And kind of the sad news is, this is going to be our last babies for the year of 2021. We're going to talk about my breeding plans here in a little while. We're going to talk about how my fall 2020 kidding season went combined with our spring 2021 kidding season went. We're going to combine those together, tell you how many females, the percentage of kids that we had compared to does that we bred, and also some things that I think I did wrong, some things I did right, and everything in between. So y'all stick around for that. But first, I'm gonna let y'all check out these babies, and we're gonna put some ear tags in them, and we'll get on with the video. So these are our two new little babies. The one on the right with the lighter head, he's a little boy, and the one directly underneath her is a girl. She's got a pretty dark head. She's actually pretty cool looking. I don't know if I've ever had one with a solid head that dark, unless it was black. So it's pretty neat. We're gonna catch them real quick, give them some ear tags, and make sure their tummies are full, make sure mama's been feeding them right, and make sure that they've been sucking. Looking at them, they're probably about, I don't know, 6-7 hours old now, and they're up moving. Mama's got them cleaned off. Everybody looks good and healthy. So let me grab them, fill on their bellies, make sure they ate, and give them some ear tags. Hey, little guy. Hey. Hey. You okay? Got a full belly. Hey, how are you? Come here, little girl. Hey. 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 Got full belly too. So we got these guys ear tagged. They're looking good. Both of the bellies are pretty full, especially that male. They are some pretty babies. You did a good job, mama. Been waiting on these for a couple days now. She's been looking like she's gonna pop any second. Like I said, these babies look really good. Their bellies are full. They're really lively. Mama's taking care of them. They're in the same exact spot as they were this morning, so she's taking care of them for sure. She's not leaving their side, so we're gonna leave her be. We got Rivers on the outside of the pasture over here. And Mama doesn't really like that too much. So let's go into the barn and we'll talk about kind of how we did throughout our kidding seasons. Talk about all different kinds of stuff. We'll get in there and I'll break out my records book and we'll kind of go over some numbers, boys versus girls and all other kind of stuff. So y'all stick with us. So like I said, that's the last babies that we're gonna have in 2021. It's kind of sad. I like having new babies on the ground all the time, but I really do like having all my babies born at one time. When I started this YouTube channel, we started in August, and I already bred all of my does that I had at the time. I bred them back in June. They were expected to have kids in November, and so with that happening, I didn't get a full herd breed. Breeding goats in the summertime is kind of hard, but we'll get all that in a second when I talk about my future breeding plans. But like I said, we bred for having babies in June, and I did have several babies in June. We had a total of 12 babies back in June out of 8 nannies that I bred, and that got us 150% kidding rate. And out of that, we didn't lose any babies. All those babies did well throughout the winter. They're big enough whenever the winter hit that they kept eating and they kept growing. And we had the creep feeder out there to feed them. Spring babies, I'm considering everything in the spring, anything from January the 1st up until now, mid-April. And most of those nannies, or some of those nannies that had babies early on, I bought them and they were bred when I bought them. So I had no control over when they were gonna have babies. I didn't know when they were gonna have babies. The guy just said that they were with a Billy, and it was just one of those things. And out of the 6 nannies that I bought, 4 of them did have babies, and 2 of them actually I kind of held off of my Billy so they wouldn't get bred. They were kind of younger, but 4 of those did have babies, and they had them. 3 of them was bred when I got them, and 1 of them got bred to my Billy whenever I put her in there when I bought her. But back in what I'm considering the spring, January the 1st till mid-April, we had 10 nannies have 18 babies, and that got us 180% kidding rate. We had 1 that had triplets. We had 1 or 2 have singles, and the rest were twins. So we got 180% kidding rate. I was very happy with that, other than the fact we lost 3 babies in the spring kidding. 1 was born dead, and it was actually one of the nannies that I've had have kids before. She was doing good, and she was supposed to have babies in mid-March where the weather wasn't so bad. So I'm not contributing that to the weather. It was just one of those things that happened. I lost 2 other babies, and those other 2 babies was from that herd that I bought that was pre-bred, and they had babies when it was really cold. And you know, I could have done a little bit better if I wish I had more barn space, but with our new addition to the barn, maybe we can prevent that next year. I can blame it on me all I want, but at the end of the day, those babies aren't with us, and we lost 2. So out of all 30 babies, we only lost 3. That gives us a 10% mortality rate, and one of those babies was dead when I was born. So altogether, I think we did all right. We had 18 nannies have 30 babies, and that gave us 166% kidding rate. I really want to try to get to that 175. I really want to try to get that 200%. Kind of my thoughts of it: 1 baby pays the bills, 2 babies makes you money in this business, between all the medication and the feed and all the materials that go into raising goats. So I really want to get that percentage of kidding rate on up there a little more. We did do better than last year. I don't have all the numbers in front of me from last year, but I didn't have near as many nannies, and so I didn't have near as many babies as well. So we're growing, and so we're learning more and more every year. To kind of talk about kidding plans. So the reason I bred my herd that I had last year in June was the hopes to have November babies. November babies would allow me to have babies on the ground before it got extremely cold. And by the time those babies were able to be weaned, grass was about to start coming out, and I didn't have to worry about parasites through the winter because it's cold, and they'd have grass to eat whenever they started eating. With that being said, I found that I had to feed a lot of hay this year. I know I had more does, but I also had a bunch of babies on the ground that was eating hay as well, eating more grain. I fed a lot of grain this year, and I fed a lot of hay. So I think economically, it'll be better for me to wait to try to have babies later spring. Another side of that is, I mentioned earlier, half my herd bred, half of them didn't. Why that happened is goats are seasonal breeders. They go off of daylight. Typically your meat breeds, your boar, your Savannahs, and some other meat breeds, they'll breed all year long to a certain extent, and that's pretty much what happened. Half my herd bred and half of them didn't. Goats don't breed during the summer. That's pretty much it. Your window is basically from September or late August until about February, early February, even January sometimes. So that's why they didn't breed. So going forward, we're not going to be doing that anymore. I like to have all my babies at one time. I don't want to have separate groups of goats having kids at separate times. It makes it harder to rotate your animals. It's harder just to manage in general, selling and all that good stuff. Going into the spring, I know I don't want to have babies in January and February or even early March. Baby goats are a small animal when they're born. They have such a small body weight, and they have to stay warm. I know y'all saw us several times bringing baby goats into the house and warming them up and trying to save them. And I don't want to have to do that, especially not where we're going. I want to expand. I want to get more efficient, have better mamas, have stronger kids, and I don't want to have to do that. I want that mama to do it, and I want that baby to have the instinct to do it. And with me breeding, it's my responsibility to allow them to have the right conditions to to have kids in. So with that being said, I think what we're going to start doing is we're going to breed our nannies late November and early December. I haven't really picked out a date in Pacific yet, but where we're having babies late March and mid-April and early May. That'll give us warm weather and a whole lot better climate, just all around. The mamas have more grass to eat. I'm not having to feed babies throughout the winter and all that stuff. One concern that I have with that is the parasite load. In our previous video that we've been struggling with a little bit of a parasite load, but I contribute that to a couple other things. But I want my nannies to be healthy, and I want them babies to be healthy. So I'm kind of concerned about the parasite load kidding in the spring or late spring. But I think we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what we're gonna do, how it works. I believe that I'll probably be breeding half my herd, or put the billy in with half my herd on a certain date, and about a week later I'll put the other half of the herd in there. That way I'm not having all my babies within the same week in case we do have some bad conditions. Kind of what led me to this decision, I've been watching a guy on YouTube. His name's Greg Christensen. He's got a channel, it's called Grandview Livestock, and this guy he does a great job managing his goats on a large scale operation, and that's kind of where I want to go with this eventually. So I picked up a lot of ideas and different tips from him. Kind of led me to this decision. I was already kind of leaning towards that, so that's kind of our future breeding plan. It's not all set in stone yet. But we will not be having any more babies in 2021. I believe everything will be born in the spring of 2022, unless we have a billy get in with some females. But we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. But it's happened before, so we'll kind of see. I didn't plan on this video being this long, but we're kind of getting up there in time. I threw out a lot out there for as, you know, how we did this year and kind of where we want to go, and different ideas that I've been thinking on for a while. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment on the video. I'll get back to you. And I'm also going to leave my email down in the description box going forward now. So if y'all have any questions, you can email me as well. Or if you have any breeding tips for me, any kind of tips going forward, I'd really appreciate it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and also leave us a comment so we can interact with you. But I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Welcome to Nicholson Farms, babies. We got a little girl on this side and a little boy on this side. Good job, Mama.